Welcome one, welcome all. I am out of my depth here, but luckily I am joined by one of the best, Bryce, third and Schlong. How are you doing, man? How's everything been? I know that you said you're also out of your home, as I am too. So we're both in different places right now.
Yeah, I had a wedding last night, so staying at my wife's parents' house because they have like a family reunion today, and the wedding was like super close to there. So I'm currently doing it from one of their guest bedrooms.
That is nice. So yeah, we're both in a guest bedroom right now, different ones. But no, we will go over the MLB slate. I'm going to pull up Saber here. I was actually watching the United States women's basketball team almost choke away a gold medal. So
Yeah, we needed that to get most golds too.
yes,
So we
I was
tied we
very
tied
aware
with
of
China,
that.
but you get it based like the tiebreaker is total medals.
Yep.
So that was nice. And then wanted to apologize to everyone for the delay. We
Yes.
will get right to it here. I had a couple issues this morning, but thankfully those are all taken care of.
Yes. So luckily, 7 game slate, a very condensed lock time as well. When you just got 135 to 210, we have all the lineups confirmed. I think the Brewers is probably confirmed and out there, just has yet to be put into Saber too. We're going to go game by game, and then we'll kind of just talk about each game here. Bryce, you're going to carry the load. I've only played a few baseball slates this year, but I did get third in the $3, a few months ago.
Ooh.
And it's all because of SaberSim. When you guys have the content out there, I just bump up the guys I like. And whatever it happens, I just hit the sims, especially with those contest sims and stuff. And it turns out to be pretty well. So I'm actually going to be playing baseball today because why not? I got you to talk to, and we got plenty of games to kind of get through. So let's go ahead and jump off the bat here. We got the Texas Rangers and the New York Yankees. You got Andrew Heaney and Marcus Stroman pitching. When you look at this game here, obviously the Yankees, and this game also has a very high total. The Yankees have been a little bit hot after their long slump that they had last month. They are kind of getting back in the right direction. What do you see from this one here, Bryce?
Stroman's not really a guy I love to stack against, but it's really good hitting weather in New York, as evidenced by the total. Heaney's been better, but I think this is a really tough spot for him against a good Yankees lineup. Would not be afraid to play some lefties here. Like I think Soto will go like way lower owned than he should on this slate, just because of the lefty. I think Saber might be a little bit low on his ownership here. Stanton Judge will obviously be super high owned. Verdugo lefty isn't the best, but I mean, he's 3.2K, really helps fit the stack. And then, if you wanted to get super different, like no one's going to play Jazz down at 5.2. I pretty much like everyone in this lineup 1 through 7, and the Yankees are one of my favorite stacks today. Don't want anything to do with pitching in this game. As far as the Rangers bats go, I think they're solid leverage, or not leverage, but I think they're going to go completely under owned for like the upside that like they have. It's pretty positive park shift. Stroman, not really my favorite guy in general. Like normally he does pretty well limiting opposing offenses, but that hasn't been the case from what I've seen. So you can play righties, lefties here. I like Texas 3 and 5 mans as well. Just in general, I want to be over on hitters in this game.
Yeah, so when you look at this Texas order too, when you're trying to look at those, 3 and even 4 mans, where you were just mentioning 3, 5 mans too, are you kind of looking more toward the bottom of the order, maybe trying to save a little bit of salary? I know that all the heavy hitters, you obviously got Corey Seager up top, but is this one where you can kind of wrap it around? Because I was thinking maybe doing a game stack on this one. I know that we got plenty of high totals, especially the next game.
I love road wraparounds. Like Leody Taveras would be my favorite one. 2.3K. It helps you fit a lot of the big bats and still get up to. I know we'll talk about Dylan Cease here in a second, and still get up to Cease. So Taveras is my favorite wraparound for sure.
So yeah, perfect. So then that gives me that catcher position here. I'm just trying to think of ideas here. And I think at one point near the end of this show, I'll probably just kind of run some sims too. So that way people can check it out. I know that Saber Sim right now has been absolutely clinical. It's been great. Code RPS15, 15% off your first payment. And we also got NFL coming up. We got college football in 2 weeks. Bryce, I know that you're kind of pumped for college football. We are literally 13 days away from the first slate, I think. So lots of fun to be had. And we'll go ahead and do the contest sims there at the end. One last note on the Yankees too. I know I'm just kind of looking more towards these like wraparounds, but that's a really cheap wraparound too with Volpe, LeMahieu, Verdugo, and then you kind of run it into like Soto, like you said. I know that's price. It's a little more pricey. It's definitely tough to get it up to Cease in that regard. But you also have Jazz at 7, so it seems like we got some wraparounds here, right?
Absolutely. Like stacks in this game, 3 and 5 mans. Typically let Saber determine like what gets stacked just based on their contest sims. Like it does a good job of diversifying you. But yeah, I mean, if you're hand building, favorite wraparound would be LeMahieu and then Tavares.
I love it. Any last note here, maybe like, clearly we're not on the pitching there too with this high total. I just want to make sure people know, there's only 14 pitchers that we got to choose from, but you're not on either pitcher here, right? I know that you said you don't love going against, or don't love going.
No, I mean, like if I'm not playing 150 today, but if I was, like, I wouldn't completely eliminate Stroman from my pool, but I doubt I would get more than like 5%.
Perfect. All right, let's move on to the next game here, and I believe this does look like it's the second highest total, and it is. You got the Houston Astros going to Boston here. You got Hunter Brown and James Paxton on the mound here. We got projections, again, it makes sense when the totals are this high where they're just a little bit low. Obviously, right now, the Houston Astros, you got their order here. You got Altuve leading off, Bregman, Jordan. I mean, that's just, very solid, right? They're not as pricey as, Soto and Judge, but they're, still pretty pricey there. You also got some very, very cheap options here with Dubon, Leon, and stuff. And then on the Red Sox side of the ball too, they're very pricey there toward the end. Is that going to push their ownership down here, Bryce?
I don't think so. Houston has the highest team total here on the slate. People love playing against Paxton in general. I know he's been better recently. Shout out to K Falix burner account here. It's good night in the MMA streets. I was 1v1 off. I think it was Rosa over whatever chick scored 87. I was at the wedding. I wasn't really able to watch any of the fights. I got back in time for the Spivak one. But yeah, I mean, from the Houston side of the ball, I think they're going to come in super chalky here. You got some cheap bats in this lineup, like Dubon 2.3K, Leon 2K, DeZenzo 2.4K, Myers 3.1K. Like you can combine like 3 of the top guys and 2 of them, and it's a pretty cheap stack relative to their upside here.
Yeah.
I know I said I wanted to be over hitters in the last game. I definitely want to be over hitters in this game. I don't really have any interest in Paxton here. Hunter Brown, I think, might go over owned. I kind of like the Red Sox today. I know it's a little bit watered down of a lineup here with no Devers in it, but I just think the hitting conditions are so good, and you get to roll out a lot of lefties here. I kind of like the Red Sox as leverage here. They're going to be one of my absolute favorite stacks of the day. Valdez, Yoshida, Duran, and then pretty much anyone in this team. I don't mind Dom Smith. It's a pretty cheap stack overall, and it lets you fit a lot of stuff, and it'll likely give you some leverage on Hunter Brown, who we have projected at 14% ownership. I think that seems a little low here. I think Cease is going to absolutely dominate ownership at pitcher today, and then it'll just be kind of spread out around 20% after that. Would kind of be my take. Bassett will carry some against Oakland.
Yeah, it makes sense there. And when I'm looking at here with Hunter Brown, like 14% ownership, 14.96 projection and stuff, that would actually rank him kind of right there in the top 5, almost, right there at the 5th pitcher there. You got Lodolo, BB, and Cease is just head and shoulders above anyone else, especially against the Miami Marlins too. So that makes a lot of sense there. Anything else you wanted to add on the Houston Astros, Boston Red Sox?
Not really. I mean, the Red Sox are going to be one of my favorite contrarian and leverage stacks of the day. Houston will probably be like my favorite chalky stack of the day. DraftKings is not including the Coors game. FanDuel is including the Coors game for those of you playing over there. So, that'll, like, adding the Coors game obviously changes a ton of ownership stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
So real quick, because I know we have a live final today, is that Coors game included in the live final?
It is. They actually included all the 4 p.m. games. So it's like a massive slate. So yeah, you get Glass now on the slate now over there. I don't know why. Normally when they have the live final, they make the main slate the same as the live final. So it was kind of surprising that they cut it off just at Coors as opposed to adding the 4 p.m. games too. And the live finals are normally not late swap, but this one is.
Oh, so that's kind of unique too. But it is the more games you have in a live final, the far, far better. And I just want to give a special shout out. I know that JBC and Stats, good luck to them. Good luck to Mangone. Good luck. Who else do we got there? I know Boynton traveled down there too. But good luck to all the RPS.
I think we have 5 total in between coordinators and subs. So yeah, good luck to all the RPS guys out there. Feel free to, we're not going to cover this FanDuel stuff, but on this show, but we have all of our normal content in Discord on the site, and feel free to shoot me a DM if you guys have any questions about like what I think about the live final, because I definitely looked into that.
Perfect. And we got 23 minutes left in the show. If you're wondering, this is going to be a little bit quick, so I will try and answer some questions I see in the chat. We'll get to that Suarez pitcher here in just a second. Here's a good one here. With Boston kind of getting that higher ownership, is that just kind of
I don't think that Boston bats will be owned here.
Really?
No, I don't.
All right, let's go ahead and get into Oakland and Toronto here. So Lawrence Butler, I always see. Steve Boynton always tweets out when Butler hits a home run, and he's been doing that a lot over the last month. He's been red hot. You also got the Blue Jays here. Let's see who's pitching for these guys here. You got JP Sears, who honestly, every time I play DFS, Bryce, I feel like I go against Sears, and it just never works out. He's a guy I just can never go against, but you also get a very high projection here in Chris Bassett. What do you think about these lineups here? I know the Toronto Blue Jays, with Saber Sims, sim tool they kind of average around 4.7 runs in every game. That's pretty solid, right?
Yeah, and Blue Jays, they're pretty cheap for their upside. I love playing guys like Varsho, lefty. They're never owned as much as they should be. Hitting second in between Springer and Guerrero. Kirk at 3.3, super interesting. I don't really want anything to do with Spears here. Bassett, I kind of want to be under on at pitcher. He's our second highest projected owned pitcher here. And, I don't think this A's lineup is as bad as people think. Yes, there's some strikeouts in it, but, there's also some pretty big blow up potential. I like the A's as kind of a leverage stack as well, similar to the Hunter Brown situation. I'm not eliminating Bassett or Brown from my pool, but I do want to be over Boston and over Oakland for leverage on the pitching there. Favorite place from Oakland here, Butler, Bleday would be like my top 2 by a decent margin. Seth Brown carries some pinch hit risk, but he's 2.6K. And then you get some. I mean, the lineup's basically free. It lets you do whatever you want. So I don't think you need to go to a 5-man, but, you definitely could, and then just play absolute studs elsewhere. Would prefer 3-mans from Oakland and 5-mans from Boston personally.
So 3-mans from Oakland for that leverage there. Specifically talking about some of these batters here. I know that you said Varsho, you got that lefty spot. Are you kind of doing another thing where, he's 3,400, he's alpha position that's actually really allows you to kind of fit in these studs at pitcher. What other batters, like more specifically, are you looking to stack for Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, the top 5 are my favorite. And then, I don't mind going choosing 4 of the 5 and then choosing a cheaper up round from Jimenez or Los Santos. So yeah, I think Horowitz would probably be my least favorite here, hitting 6th today. But I think this entire team's in play against Sears.
Perfect. And in the sake of time, we got 20 minutes left. I'll try and make sure we get through these games 4 minutes at a time. That way we can take some questions at the very end and do some sims as well. So if you guys see me rushing through, just be aware that I have to get to a NASCAR show in 20 minutes. So I apologize for the rushing of it. Let's go ahead and get to the O's versus the Tampa Bay Rays. And this is the question that we had earlier, and it was about Albert Suarez. Let me go ahead and get that one up here so that way I can introduce. Can I trust Suarez as my starting pitcher 2 versus the the Rays, who K the most in order to pay up for the bats. Is Suarez a guy you're looking at here today, Bryce?
Yeah, I think Suarez is a fine punt here. I think Springs is as well. I'd rather play Suarez against the Rays team, but I like Springs as well. I said I wanted some leverage against Bassett and against Hunter Brown. These are two cheaper options that you can consider, in place of them. I don't think you need to play both these guys and go double cheap at pitching today. There are plenty of cheap hitters today. But yeah, we have both of these guys projected around 10% ownership. Like I'd much rather be like 15 to 20% at least. Would consider them in like kind of like a 3 max type of deal. And definitely in a 150 type of deal. Bats, not really looking towards the bats here. I think there are way better stacks today to attack. I pretty much liked hitters in all the first 3 games that we've discussed. So, you can't like everyone. The O's and the Rays kind of fall by the wayside for me today. Like if I'm playing 150, I'm not going to take them out of the pool, take the 5-mans or the 3-mans out of the pool. But not my favorite place today. If I had to pick some one-offs for you guys here, Eloy Jimenez against the lefty, only 3.3K would probably be my favorite one from the Orioles. And then, I think Johnny DeLuca is actually going to carry a decent amount of ownership here. He's leading off at 2.2K. So, I don't love playing like chalk, like lead off one-offs. Like I'd much rather play DeLuca in like a stack. So like my favorite one-off here would be honestly probably Brandon Lowe at 5.1K. I don't really think anyone's going to pay for that here. So, just in general, not super high on these hitters. You're going to get them, if you have a different take, you'll get them at super low ownership, but prefer pitching in this game.
So this is just a game theory thing, right? Like when you say, DeLuca could get some ownership, right? And I kind of agree. Anytime you have a cheap leadoff guy, especially in like those cash games and stuff, DeLuca is probably going to get a little bit of ownership to cram in Cease, right? That's kind of the way it always is. The rule of thumb, get the most at-bats for the cheapest possible. What you said was very interesting. I kind of want to go back to that. You don't like doing that, especially in large field tournaments, right? Doing a one-off of a cheap leadoff guy where like it just
I'd rather have my one-off be like super low owned, in general, or like have crazy high upside, not have it be like the cheap guy. I'd rather play like, say you're 5 stacking Texas. I'd rather have my cheap guy be like Tavares.
No, it checks out there. And like when you say it too, Brandon Lowe, someone who's probably going to come in at 1% ownership, maybe 2% ownership. That's the upside that you're talking about there too. Yeah. And we also had the thing like, wouldn't you play all the lefties against Suarez? So, I mean, Lowe would kind of fit that build, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and move on to the San Diego Padres taking on the Miami Marlins. This is the best pitcher of the day, right? Not even close. Dylan Cease. What's your take on Cease? Obviously he's going to be a mega chalk, right? 54% owned is what they're projecting in the flagship tournament. You think it could even be higher than that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really think anyone comes close to him on this slate. Now, if you're talking about FanDuel and you get Glass now, like that would be a bigger discussion here. I think Cease is going to be, probably around 60%. I want to be over that. I'm not playing 150 today, but I will have Cease on my main team, and I would consider locking him in the 150. I know when I ran the Sims earlier, it gave me like 98% Cease or something pretty wild like that. There's tons of good cheap hitters today that lets you fit in Cease. He has the highest upside, highest floor, and I think he's pretty likely to be in the winner. Like I think he has over a 55% chance of being in the winner is kind of my theory on Cease here. Now on teams who don't play Cease, I think a Marlins one-off, like he does give up some speed and power, like a Jesus Sanchez would probably be my favorite one-off here. Not really interested in specifically doing that though. But yeah, if you're fading Cease, I wouldn't mind like a Miami one-off or even a 3-man. Padres bats here. I'm still kind of a Max Meyer believer. I don't love this park for hitters. Obviously, they're kind of an expensive stack, like with Manny Machado and Profar, who are like the guys you'd really want. Jackson Merrill. If you are stacking them, I'd probably prefer 3-mans as 5-mans, and those would be my favorite 3. You make a good point about Cease. He's well rested. He's unquestionably the best pitcher on the slate. I don't think there's ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yeah, Padres 3-mans. Merrill, Profar, and Machado would be my favorite 3-man here. Don't see myself getting into a lot of Padres 5-mans.
Yeah, I like that, especially with that team total like 4.9. The correlation with Cease is there, right? Whenever I pull up, a pitcher's correlation thing with SaberSim, all of a sudden I just see like all his hitters correlate with him. So a 3-man rather than a 5-man here in Miami is what you suggest if you were going to play the Padres, because obviously we still prefer, if you missed the beginning of the show, you're a big fan of the Rangers and Yankees, big fan of the Astros and Red Sox too, like. Not that you were excited by the Red Sox, but they're a great leverage stack, right? But your main teams felt like the Rangers, Yankees, and Astros, right?
Absolutely. Definitely prefer the hitting in the earlier games that we've discussed, and the pitching in the later games.
Yeah, that checks out too. So a 3-man Padres stack makes a little bit of sense, but we don't want to lose focus just because of the games we went over earlier. Don't want to kind of make that note just go unseen. The beginning games, especially the ones at 135, are the stones for the hitting, and the pitching belongs to Cease here. I think when I'm looking at it here, I think I'm going to run 20 lineups strong. I think I'm just going to lock Cease in those 20, and then I'll just kind of debate this starting pitcher too, which you had me interested, especially with guys like Suarez and what was it, Springs, right? So yeah, those 2 guys might kind of even fit that bill to where I can still get those stacks too, where they're cheap enough in that mid 6K range to really allow things to work. I do love these type of comments, because it's something that for some reason Miami is better on Sundays. I love these like just obscure stuff where like watch Cease get lit up today. I'm just gonna allude to that. I'm just gonna allude to the fact that Miami just feast on Sundays. The one thing that I have been doing this long, I've been doing a lot of baseball betting, and it's been all in the bullpens. That's where I found my edge. So it's kind of nice, it's focusing on the starters a little bit, but the bullpens I've done a lot of work on over the last 3 months. So it's been a fun time. Let's get to the Guardians and the Twins here. This is, Stephen Kwan, the absolute boss dog, as someone who hasn't really paid attention to the hitting side of things on baseball. Kwan's been an absolute stud. But when we look at the 2 pitchers here, we got Tanner Beebe, we got David Festa. They're okay. I mean, Beebe's a little bit pricey, right? Like that's a high tag to pay, especially when you're already going to pay for Cease. We want to pay up for that hitting in those early games. Is he a guy who's just kind of going by the wayside a little bit?
Yeah, but like I'd honestly rather play Bibee than Hunter Brown when you take into like the ownership considerations. So once again, this is a game I want to be over on pitching here. I don't really think either of these guys. I think we have Bibee projected at 25%. I don't really think he gets there personally. I think he'll be, significantly below that. I would expect him to come in around, between 15 and 20%. So Bibee, I'll likely have around 25%. It's a decent matchup against the Twins. It's not the best. It's just more of an ownership thing. Don't love bats in this game on either side. I know we talked a lot about liking the hitting earlier. I know the Guardians aren't a team that you love to pick on, but Festa has been really good. It's just a tough matchup against a team that doesn't K a ton. I definitely think he's in play at 7.3. I don't think he really garners any ownership here. So, I'm kind of going to bite the bullet and be significantly over on Festa today.
I like it.
Yeah. In terms of individual bats, Royce Lewis kind of stands out to me. And then obviously Jose Ramirez, David Fry, catcher, isn't a bad play. And I always like playing Jimenez if you're looking for a Guardian stack. If you're looking for a twin stack here, I definitely do Willie Castro, Royce Lewis, and then, probably like a Kyle Farmer, like just straight up 2K hitting at the bottom of the order will be completely unowned. It does carry a tad of upside. Definitely prefer 3-mans as opposed to 5-mans here, but not super high on either side of the bats and prefer to be over on pitching.
This kind of goes to what you were saying too, just about these cheap bats. Like, you still got guys like just literally 2K down here at the bottom.
Yeah, which is why I really do want to be over on Cease today.
Yeah.
Just because, you have cheap bat. It's Sunday. You get a lot of guys that, that get rest on Sundays and whatnot. You get some watered down lineups. It's super easy to find value on Sundays as opposed to most days.
Yeah, and like look at the bottom of the order for the Guardians. I know that you like Festa and stuff too, but it's still with a 4.5, run team total. Basically, when you just kind of sum it all down, like 2.5, 2.3, 2.1. Hell, Will Brennan's 2.6 batting second. Like, you can just get these mini stacks where it's just 3-mans for literally less than 10K and just walk to the bank with Cease at that point. Let's see. I think we can go ahead and get to our last game. Oh, good. We finally got to a game. I think I'll know what I'm talking about a little bit here, Bryce, as a Reds fan. So we got the Reds taking on the Brewers here. And again, I apologize for cutting this show short. We still got 8 minutes left, but we'll go ahead and try the contest sims here in a second. We got Lodolo on the mound. And then for the Brewers, hold on, let's go ahead and get it up. Is it going to be who?
It's going to be DJ Hall. It looks like. I'm not sure if Sabres updated that yet.
Is he in the player pool?
He is in the player pool at 5.4K.
There he is. Wait.
Yeah, he's coming off the IL. My issue with Hall is, like, I just don't know how much he's going to pitch.
Yeah.
Like, the Reds strike out at like a huge clip here. Like, if I knew he was going to get you like 90 pitches, I would definitely play Hall, but I probably have him at 65 or 70 pitches. I don't really think you need to go here today. Reds have a super low team total here, which is kind of why I would want to play him, but I just can't make that click today.
Yeah, so when you look at like a guy like Hall, 5.4K, probably no ownership, especially with the out tag and a lot of these optimizers and sims or whatever. Is he even have an out tag on DK too? I'm about to check that because
he has an IL tag.
See that so this is where the opposite. I mean, that IL tag could be removed well before 135 and stuff, but I don't mind playing a guy like that at 5.4K. The problem is you look at the innings, he has gone over 5 innings once this year, and that was in April. What can we really expect? Let's go to his baseball savant. Let's see what he's done in his rehab stints, because I want guys who I can get at less than 3%, especially in the pitching pool where one cheap pitcher is going to make you a little bit different. I think a lot of people are going to gravitate toward these others. He's actually been active in the minors. He's pitched on the 6th, the 31st, the 26th. He went 4 innings, 5 innings, 4 innings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting probably 4 innings out of him. 5 would be the absolute max here. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't play him in like a 3, say you're playing 3 teams. I wouldn't play him. If you're playing 20 teams, I might have him in like 1. 150, I'd probably have around 5%. I mean, he's 5.4K. He can get there in 4 innings if he gets the strikeouts. So, yeah, don't think he carries any ownership here. On the other side, we got Lodolo. Lodolo's another one of my favorite pitching plays today. Like, I think people are not going to go double expensive with Cease and him. And there are cheap bats out there to fit. Like, if you use Boston, Oakland, and those guys, you can fit some really high strikeout arms. Lodolo, he's going to come in around 20%. I want to be over, probably 30% Lodolo for me, 35%. And it's possible to pair him with Cease and still make like a very solid team, just because there are a good amount of like cheap stacks and bats today, which we've highlighted earlier. So yeah, bats in this game, not really going to go there for a ton. I'm not gonna eliminate them by any means. I think the Brewers lineup is the only lineup that I haven't seen yet. So be interested to see why. It's probably because of Hall starting. The lineup's coming out late, but we'll have an update on that in Discord for you guys. Assuming that like Turang's not leading off, Gary Sanchez, Chiriot, and like Willie Adames would be my favorite 3-man against Lodolo. And then against Hall, I think you have to play Ellie, Stevenson, and then Ty France would probably be my favorite 3-man against DJ Hall here.
So real quick, Bryce, since we got 4 minutes here, go ahead and rank your top 5 stacks for me in order, and I'm going to bump them up in Saber. I'm going to kind of show the process here just a little bit on these contest sims that I like to do. Someone who doesn't know a ton about baseball, but I do like, using Saber for it.
All right. So my 2 favorite stacks by a decent margin are Houston and New York, and they're chalky stacks. After that, ranking them, it's Red Sox 3. I like the Red Sox a good amount. I probably put the Rangers 4, and Oakland for the leverage is 5, and I might toss in Toronto in there. Like those would kind of be like my 6-1s. So yeah.
All right, perfect. So here's what we're gonna do. So if you guys want to know just a little bit, like I think I'm up on baseball this year just because I barely played it and I did have that little mini hit in the $3. But let's go ahead and just do this. So you wonder, like, oh, what do? I go to my projections and I adjusted those, 6 teams that we kind of went over, those 5 teams that we just went over. I bumped them up just a little bit to kind of get more in line with what Bryce was thinking. I'm going to build out 5,000 lineups and I'm going to run the contest sims. It's like very, very easy here. So I do like, the ease of what you just said. Like we just went over that entire slate. I'm able to kind of just bump those teams. We're able to kind of lock in Cease is what I'm going to do at the end of it. And I'm able to kind of just, build out very competitive teams that are going to hopefully be up at the top there in the $18. So when we look at these contest sims, I didn't really do anything with any of the other hitters. We're not going to get DL Hall in here, so it's important to run this before lock when he actually is in the pool because SaberSim doesn't have ownership on him because they still have an out tag next to his name. And when someone doesn't carry ownership in the contest sims, they're not going to populate in your lineups. So what we're going to do here, Bryce, I'm going to lock in Cease. I'm going to run the contest sims and, just for the sake of an example, for someone who's not maxing that, $18, I'm not running 150. How many uniques would you say for 20 lineups in a 150 max contest?
Normally I use 3. If you want to be more aggressive, you can use 2, but I think 3 gives you a good amount of variation. On slates where you want to be even more diverse, like a larger slate than this, say it's like a 13 gamer, I use 4. I consider this like a mid-sized slate. So I would use 3 here personally. On super short slates, I use 2. Nice. Like a 3 or a 4 gamer.
All right. So even on a 7 gamer, a 3 is probably, that sweet spot for you, right? So we're going to go to 3 uniques as well. So I'm running the contest sims here. I locked Cease. We're getting a lot of Bybee. And I know I was announcing his name as BB earlier, but we're getting a lot of Bybee. Let's see what it does after the contest sims. And then I'll jump off here and go to the NASCAR show. I like to do RAROI. We're going to go to 3 uniques. And here's what it does to the pitching pool. Let's go ahead and just get the pitchers up only. And it's a lot of Bybee, Lodolo, Brown, Bassett, Sears. I mean, that's kind of what you want, though. You want that kind of spread out. You're kind of even with the field on Lodolo. You're over on the field on Bybee.
Yep.
Want a little more, I think, right?
Pretty much checks out with what we're looking to do here. Like manually here, I'd bump Festa up a bit. Like I'd rather have him around 15 to 20%. And that'd probably be the only adjustment I'd make. Probably just put the Sears teams into Festa teams and make them 15% and cut Sears from the pool is what I would personally do here. Yeah. But that's just based on personal preference.
And one other thing that I do too is look, see, I get a lot of Oakland A's, right? So, I get a lot of Oakland A's. One thing that
it's going to give you a ton of leverage because they're cheap. We have them projected well and at low ownership against Bassett.
And so what I do is I go into team stacks, and this is the only time I really ever do hard limits and stuff. I'll find Oakland. I know
I do the exact same thing. Like I'm not going to, the pool exposure's 10%, but it's giving you 90% in those 20 teams sort of by RAROI. So
and then it immediately cuts down on those guys there, and then instead we're actually getting Milwaukee a ton, which is surprising. So and then I like to fiddle with it from there, and hopefully I think I would actually bump up the Yankees and Astros.
Yeah, the only min max stuff I set is on stacks.
I like that. So again, sorry guys for filling in and cutting this a little bit short, but I appreciate y'all.
I think you did a wonderful job today, Gregory.
Yeah, I hopefully I didn't not know my stuff completely, but it'll be a fun time. Good luck today. Catch you guys on the NASCAR show if you want to flip over there here. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's coming on right after this.
Yes.
Great race later today. So.